Fatiha. السلام عليكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله محمد سيدنا والآخر مدد يا رسول الله مدد يا سادة الأصحاب مدد يا مشايخ الدستور مولانا إن شاء الله فاز أحسن إن شاء الله من هذا المكان بدأت طريقتنا الصحبة والخير في الجميع في جامع الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم من destek vererek.
Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says that the believers, by supporting each other,
sağlam bir bina yapar diyor.
They will build a solid building.
Olur. Müslümanları ayrılık değil de birlik olsun diye.
Muslims, the believers, should be in union. They should not be in disunion.
İster Allah'ın emri de aynı şekilde ama
this is what our beloved Prophet peace and blessings be upon him wants us to be, and this is the command of Allah Almighty too, that Muslims must unite.
Şimdiki insanlar, Müslümanlar şeytan aralarına girmiş, her birisini bir tarafa uzaklaştırmış birbirlerinden.
But Shaitan has made the Muslims to divide into groups and divisions, and has go in between the Muslims and has made them distance themselves from each other.
Onun için bu hal ortada olan hal onun neticesindedir.
And the situation we now find ourselves in as the Muslim world is the result of Muslims no longer being in union, but Muslims being divided up.
Birlik olmayıp fitneye kapılıp
Muslims have divided up into groups and divisions, and they have been led astray by fitna.
Fitnenin arkasından giden, fitneye bulaşan insanlar çok.
There are many who follow the fitna or who are affected by the fitna.
Bu maalesef şimdi daha fazladır. Eskiden vardı tabii.
And fitna always existed, and there have always been various reasons for people to divide, to cause conflict and to cause discord or disunion. But now the reasons of fitna have increased tremendously.
Peygamberimiz sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem zamanından sonra fitneler çıktı ki
directly after the time of our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, there have also fitna also emerged right after.
İslam'ı bitirsinler.
Because they are targeted to make Islam disappear.
Ama Allah Azze ve Celle o nuru devam ettirir. Allah'ım ettim nuru ve lev kerehel kafirun. Kafirler sevmezse de Allah bu nuru daim ettirecek.
But Allah Almighty protected that divine light. Allah Almighty protected Islam, and He will continue that divine light, whether the disbelievers like it or not.
Allah Azze ve Celle'nin himayesindedir.
This light, the light of Islam, is under Allah Almighty's divine protection, and He will be preserving it.
Allah Azze ve Celle insanlara yardım ederse kimse durduramaz.
And if you have the support and the aid of Allah Almighty, no one can stop you.
Ama bazen işte imtihan oluyor.
Of course, from time to time, we undergo tests and trials.
Vakit, her şeyin vakti, zamanı var.
And for everything, there is an appointed time.
Vakti zamanı gelince yaptıkları bütün kötülükler, biz dünyayı kontrol ettik, dünyaya hakim olduk deyince
the time for those who claim to control this world will come.
Allah Azze ve Celle bir lahzada, bir dakikada bütün yaptıklarını, şeylerini yıkıp gider.
And when their time comes, and when their time ends up and finishes, Allah Almighty will finish in one instance everything they were so proud of and everything they built in just a moment.
Bırakmaz bir şey.
And then nothing will remain of what they built.
Hiçbir şey haktan başka şey kalmaz.
And only truth will then prevail and remain.
Onun için Müslüman gene sabredip
Therefore, as Muslims, we need to be patient.
Elinden geldiği kadar Müslüman kardeşlerine yardım etmesi lazım.
And while being patient, we must support our fellow Muslim brothers and sisters.
Hem maddi olarak yapabilirse yapsın.
And we may support our fellow Muslim brothers and sisters from a material, financial perspective.
Çoğusunun imkanı olmuyor çoğu zaman insanların.
But there are people who may not have the material means.
Duadır.
And they can help through their prayers, however.
Dua da büyük bir silahtır.
Because prayer is a weapon too.
Müminin silahı, Müslüman silahı duadır.
The weapon of a Muslim, the weapon of a believer, mu'min, is his prayer.
Dua edip de Allah yardım etsin diye.
And as Muslims, the least we must do is to pray for our fellow Muslim brothers and sisters so that Allah Almighty, and ask Allah Almighty for His support.
Allah muhafaza etsin.
And we must ask for the protection of Allah Almighty and pray for the protection of Allah Almighty.
Diye dua edelim.
So therefore let us pray, O Allah Almighty, protect our fellow Muslim brothers and sisters.
Şimdi savaş var. İnsanlar her gün ölüyor.
Now there's war ongoing and each and every day people die.
Yapılamıyor tabii.
And there's no end to this war.
Olarak onlar için onlar her tarafta var dünyanın. Müslümanlar
And this war is not only waged in one place, but throughout the entire world, war is ongoing.
kesiliyor, biçiliyor, öldürülüyor.
Muslims are slaughtered, massacred, cut into pieces.
Bir şey kimsenin umuru değil.
But people do not care.
O kafirin umuru değil.
Disbelievers do not care.
Münafıkların umuru değil.
Hypocrites do not care.
Onların başka kendilerine bir şey olursa dünya yıkılır.
They're only interested in themselves. If something had happened to them, they would shake the entire world.
Ama Müslüman olunca bir şey olmuyor. Ama
But if something happens to a Muslim, they do not react.
zararı yok.
But it doesn't matter.
Müslümanın çektiği eziyetler Allah katında mahfuzdur.
Because we know that whatever we undergo as Muslims, there will be a reward by Allah Almighty.
Onlara verilecek ikramlar haddi hesabı yok.
Whatever situation a Muslim must undergo, it doesn't matter, because a Muslim knows that Allah Almighty will reward him, and all he cares about is not the state he finds himself in this world, but the Muslim is only interested in the blessings and the rewards of Allah Almighty in the hereafter.
Allah bize de yardım etsin. Onlara yardım etmek için.
And we need to pray, however, for the support of Allah Almighty to help our fellow Muslim brothers and sisters, and to enable us to be able to help them and support them.
Her türlü dua yaparız.
And therefore, we must start with prayers at least.
Her dünyanın dediğimiz her tarafında zulüm zirveye yetişmiş.
Throughout the entire world, tyranny has reached its peak everywhere.
Zirveye yetişince onun bitmesi demek yakındır inşallah.
And this is the sign for this tyranny to end. The fact that tyranny has reached its climax will be the beginning of its end and downfall.
Allah o günlerde göstersin. Sahibinden beraber olmalı inşallah.
May Allah Almighty show us those good days ahead of us, and may Allah Almighty make us be together with Mahdi alayhi salam.
Allah tawfik. El-Fatiha.